Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there.
So, many of you guys are probably familiar with this infamous, famous photo. 1934 this was taken. And you guys probably know where.
Yes, I think you guys can figure it out.
So, Loch Ness Monster. This is up in Scotland. Beautiful, beautiful area. Very cold water, I would say. And, you know, the mystery of Loch Ness, this is one of those mysteries that for many of us, it's like one of our first things. You know, Loch Ness Monster, then you start studying Bigfoot, and then you just move on to other things and you go deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. But yet, it's still out there, and it still is kind of unsolved, right?
Right.
And yet, we have again another sighting to talk about. Now, many people have said, well, you know, the most likely thing is maybe a plesiosaur. Somehow a plesiosaur made it through, and, you know, or a family of them made it through. Gosh, you know, if we listen to science, that was millions of years ago. And you would think, well, how is that possible? That, you know, something from millions of years ago, a dinosaur, make it through to this time frame. Yet, you know, we know that they have not given us truth, and everything has been distorted and changed and twisted. Reality is not even what they tell us. And there's been actually thousands of eyewitness accounts with some unexplained evidence. As this is a depiction of what it might look like. Kind of reminds me of almost like taking the body of a manatee and then putting a long neck on it. Mm-hmm. I've had manatees swim right next to me and freak me out in, you know, 4 or 5 foot deep water over actually on the Gulf Coast of Florida. I had 2 come right next to me. I just turned around, and it just, you want to talk about freaking out when you see something that's like 10 foot long or so right next to you. But they're like, you know, giant sea cows, so to speak. The Loch Ness Monster, we're going to share with you some photos, an article and some photos, and then we took screenshots, and my gosh, pretty convincing. So many times, over 1,000 eyewitness accounts. You know, this loch or lake goes to 800 foot deep, and it's the largest in a string of lochs along the Great GLEN. This is up in the Highlands. And of course, you know, there's so much money to be made giving tours and sightseeing. Maybe you could see Nessie too, right? Remember Nessie?
Yes, and you know, you got to wonder what makes Nessie so elusive. You know, why is there a lot of evidence, but there's no like tangible that you can put in your hand? You know, why is it like that?
Well, again, it's understanding reality and how things truly work. Reports of a monster inhabiting Loch Ness date back to ancient times, notably local stone carvings by the Picts depict a mysterious beast with flippers. Written account appears in the biography of St. Columba from 565 AD. According to that work, a monster bit a swimmer and was preparing to attack another man when Columba intervened, ordering the beast to go back. It did. It obeyed him. And over the centuries, only occasional sightings were reported. Many of these alleged encounters seem inspired by Scottish folklore, which abounds with mythical water creatures. In 1933, the Loch Ness Monster's legend began to grow. At that time, a road adjacent to Loch Ness was finished, offering an unobstructed view of the lake. In April, a couple saw an enormous animal which they compared to a dragon or prehistoric monster. And after it crossed their car's path, it disappeared into the water. So it was out on the land and went into the water. The incident was reported in a Scottish newspaper, and numerous sightings followed. In December 1933, by the way, that was the year that King Kong came out.
Interesting.
1933, isn't it? So maybe a little bit of, you know, the whole psyche of the world was towards the mythical, perhaps. And then, of course, 1933, we have all those doings going on in Germany, which would eventually become Nazi Germany as well, leading towards the great WW2 6 years later. And previously, of course, 1929, we have the crash. And so everybody was in the economic doldrums. Interesting times. So December 33, the Daily Mail commissioned Marmaduke Wetherell, a big game hunter, to go locate that sea serpent. Along the lake shores, he found large footprints that he believed belonged to a very powerful, soft-footed animal about 20 feet long, 6 meters long. However, upon closer inspection, zoologists said the tracks were identical and made with umbrella stand or an ashtray that had a hippopotamus leg as a base. So was it a hoax? Interesting. 20 feet long. The news only seemed to spur efforts to prove the monster's existence. In 1934, English physician Robert Kenneth Wilson photographed the alleged creature. The iconic image, known as the Sturgeon's photograph, appeared to show a monster's small head and neck. The Daily Mail printed the photograph, sparking an international sensation. Many speculated the creature was a plesiosaur, a marine reptile that went extinct 65.5 million years ago. And then, of course, you have many people there. There's been so many different sightings, as we said, over 1,000 of accounts over the years. 2018, researchers conducted a DNA survey of Loch Ness to determine what organisms lived in the water. No signs of a plesiosaur or other such large animal were found, though the results indicated the presence of numerous eels. The finding left open the possibility that the monster is an oversized eel. Despite the lack of conclusive evidence, the Loch Ness Monster remained popular and profitable. In the early 21st century, it's thought that it contributed nearly $80 million annually to Scotland's economy. So how about a plesiosaur? This is a depiction of it. Cindy says instinctively she doesn't feel the teeth are quite so scary as this depiction. So, these things did exist. Now, whether the official explanation, because we know that there are, everything basically gets filtered through this particular lens in which they want us to view the world through. And anything that's anomalous tends to get, buried away in the Smithsonian or buried away at the bottom of an ocean somewhere. Some things they want to leave unexplained. But what's curious is, these things were real, perhaps, maybe, still are. So they say 65 million years ago in the big extinction, they disappeared. They were all over, in all the oceans across the globe. And we see, their historical period, early middle Jurassic. They were about 15 feet long and 1,000 pounds. They ate other fish and mollusks. Long neck, tapered body, blunt flippers, small head, sharp teeth. So, check this out because this is really amazing. Loch Ness Monster spotted again, this time on drone footage. And, you might be looking and saying, I don't see anything but ripples. But, keep an eye on this. And let us go here. We'll blow it up for you guys. Looking right here. Is that just, it looks like it's something under the waves. As you see the waves going. Look right there. You see the movement of the tail. A little bit of movement, long neck right there. It's pretty easy to see. Now, a lot of people are going to say, that's nothing, but wait for the screenshots.
Yeah. It starts out looking almost like two separate rocks, but then you can see it start moving as one.
Right? Was that just an illusion? I don't know, because, and I gave you guys a couple of different links to the story. So you can see, now that's obviously, that's not a good representation. If you want people to take things seriously, this is the whole video, the Great GLEN Canoe Challenge, Part 2. And so this whole video is long, but it starts at about 3:54, and I think it goes through about 4:12. I took some screenshots because the screenshots are way more telling. See right here? Now, is that nothing?
No, it starts out little and then it widens and then it tapers back off into a very long neck.
Yeah, you see that neck and there.
And it's almost like you can see these sort of stripes or darker areas. See how well it camouflages? That's great.
Yeah, it does seem to camouflage. Now, I haven't tried playing with it with color, but I have, blown it up and I've looked at it several times. And, it looks like there really is something there. It's really pretty cool. We could change the colors. Here again, you can see the body and the long neck. And the thing is, it definitely appears to move. That's the thing. It seems like it's gliding towards shore. Is it all just simply right there? Is it all just simply an illusion, a trick of lighting?
That's a pretty good trick.
And here it is again. You can see it. It is exactly that shape that people would have described, and exactly the shape that we would expect a plesiosaur to be. And there you go. I mean, what do you think of that? I can see it. Look, it's got like one leg, another leg. You can see 3 legs here.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the tail and that very long neck. Is that just an illusion?
And look how big it is in proportionate to those canoes too. I mean,
okay, so that's a good point. Now, these canoes more than likely, are, well, these are kayaks, so they look like kayaks to me.
I think they're canoes.
Are they?
I think so. I think
Oh,
so.
yeah. Well,
One person canoes anyway.
You're probably, a good guess would be 15 feet for these,
Yeah.
somewhere around there, maybe 12 feet. This would make this whole thing to be, I would say 20 feet or maybe even a little bit longer with the neck.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool you got this right next to this for spatial reasons.
Yep.
It's coming close to check them out.
As a visual aid.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty damn...
That's pretty cool.
good photo.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Is that just an illusion? I mean, is this just a rock? I don't know. One leg's going back this way, the other leg's moving forward here. The neck is kind of going straight towards the boat. It really does look like it's going to check out what's happening. Who are these guys? What are they doing here?
Why are they in my territory?
So tell me, guys, what do you think? Can you make that out? Does that not... is it that's what we would expect it to look like? But here's a screenshot. Obviously, I just took it. You guys are welcome to take screenshots too. No, I took it off of this one right here. And this one, again, it's like around 3:54. So you can see he's talking. It's right there. I think you could see it way clearer from this video than you could on what the New York Post did. Optical illusion, just the breeze, nothing to see here, maybe a log floating along the bottom.
Oh, I'm sure somebody will come along soon enough and say, oh, it's just a hoax. Of course.
Now, he didn't know that he got it. That's the thing. Because he just is talking, about the conditions on the lake and, what they're doing. And by the way, I love this idea of just, canoe camping, things like that. That's so much fun.
It does look like fun. I think we're overdue, for sure.
Yeah, we're way overdue.
Way overdue for vacation.
So interesting, guys. I wanted to share that with you guys. Now, let me ask Cindy, what does she get from the guides about this? Because, it's the beautiful thing is that we could connect and see what the guides say.
Well, the guides are saying it's real, but it's not real. And as we're talking about that, it's like, okay, you guys, what are you talking about? Why are you telling me it's real, but it's not real? Well, it's interdimensional. And just like so many other entities like Bigfoot, other entities, these things can come in and out of our 3D reality. We don't understand how, but science has made it seem like that's an impossibility and it's preposterous, and everything you've ever been taught concludes that that's just total nonsense. However, when you start looking deeper and you start to wake up, you start to realize that everything you've been taught is somewhat misleading. So,
it's a control system.
Yes.
And we had one person spamming like crazy on the Yeshua video. They left like 10 different, 12 different little comments, all about this is why you're not supposed to channel that. Well, that's because the controllers don't want you understanding reality. They don't want you to understand that the ability to be one place and then somewhere totally different is inherent, not necessarily just in people that are well trained, although it can be developed. Think about remote viewing and stuff. Can you, if you were sensitive, could you feel the presence of somebody remote viewing you?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. You would probably sense that. You might get that little, like the hairs in the back of your neck standing up. You might think somebody's in the room, but you can't see anybody. Are they in the room? Well, they're remote viewing you. Yeah, they are. Think about being able to shift your perspective. Like when you were sleeping last night, if you could remember your dream, you were somewhere totally different than your bedroom, right? Now, other beings might be there all the time, or they might be there in their version of a waking state while you're there when you're in your dream state. So all these different densities, they all overlap. So in one sense, you could view it like perhaps this plesiosaur, if that really is what it is or something similar, is basically in its dream time, maybe its genetic memory remembers when it was physically here on Earth. And so it's kind of manifesting as that here on Earth. And then it wakes up where it really is and it's there. And it's no longer here. It just kind of disappears. Was it really ever there? Well, its consciousness was. And then there's the other possibility as well, because we have these elemental beings, these different beings called by different names depending on their elemental composition and the different places in across the globe where they are being talked about. Mer people. There's so many legends of mer people all across the world, everywhere you go, as well as beings like sylphs and gnomes, and we could go on and on. Now we are going into a different density, as I've said before, and I'm not sure if I said it on air or just to people that we've been working with. We are right now, basically, it's like our back foot is in 3D. Our lead leg is in the air. It is not touching the ground. When it comes down, it's going to be in 4D. And eventually we'll be in 5D if we're able to ascend past this loop. But we are on such a cusp of transitioning into a new reality that there's going to be a whole new set of things that we're going to see. There already is new, I should say, are new plant species, animal species, different species of different creatures that are popping up all over the globe that are brand new species being found. Well, we know about DNA mutations, and we know about cosmic rays coming in, triggering DNA mutations when we have grand solar minimums, and especially when we have magnetic pole reversals or excursions. And again, excursion is when it doesn't stay permanent, and the reversal is when it's permanent. North pole becomes south, south becomes north. All this, these are changing of the ages, basically, and changing of our realities. So all these legends about these mythical beings, fairies, gnomes, sprites, elves, so much of it's just because our own perceptive ability is not what it used to be. Like when we channeled Yeshua, he said he was born at a time when humans were not as tainted because of everything in the air, by the food they're eating, by all the technology around us that's constantly penetrating through all of our existence and inhibiting our ability to perceive that which is right around us all the time.
Exactly. We really have to, our bodies are having to change because of all of technologies, that it's just, kind of hammering against the energy body constantly. And, when they determined that there was an energy body, I think back in 1984, they determined that humans have a magnetic energy body that they've called the aura, that when things are pressed upon that aura, it can actually make changes in the 3D body. So that leads you to believe that the routers, the TVs, the devices, everything that's always pressing against us is in some way, shape, or form going to affect our 3D body and our ability to perceive.
Exactly. And so you were getting also the possibility that this could be something that we might term elemental in nature.
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely an elemental in nature, something that can move in and out of this existence, and it also has another existence.
Yeah, I mean, I find that pretty easy to make out, especially being under the water.
Yeah, I know, it's really cool. It's so cool. I mean, the mind wants to say no, those are rocks, but the more you look at it, the more that really looks like a Nessie.
It sure does. And we found this golden orb weaver. I think that's what they call them, spider, that is in the corner of the garden and is protecting the pepper and tomato plants. And Cynthia got in meditation that this is really an elemental that decided to take a physical body here. But this elemental was with us when we were working in Nevada in our garden over there. And, so it had a name that we called it by there. But it's here now, and it decided to come with us wherever we go. It likes our energy. But it decided to jump in, basically take a 3D body. And so, what's interesting is we've tried to photograph it, and it always ends up blurry. It's like you cannot photograph a clear shot of it. It always ends up blurry and distorted for some reason. But again, there's a lot more to our reality than people would think. And we've been given this one mindset. And again, it's by the powers that be. They don't want us knowing that there's all sorts of different beings around us all the time. Or even the fact that we can do these things. Now, another fascinating thing that Cindy just got this morning was that the dinosaurs, many of the dinosaurs, just chose to leave this reality.
Right. They chose to leave the reality. That's something I was going to try to go deeper in and get more information on. But you can kind of see that they chose to die off and show up in another reality. Very much like, in any species can do this if they want to die off. And they call it a well, you know, they, what is that called when they all die off? Extinction. They call it an extinction of that species, when in reality it's that species going to another place as one.
And that makes me, you know, think of certain, you know, tribes as well. We've talked about the Anasazi and these other groups of beings. All of a sudden they're there and then they're not, and then it's like, well, what happened? You know, were they carried away? Did cannibals get them? You know, were they alien abducted? The rainbow body, you know, is another thing to look at, where people can be here and then they're gone. Many cases, tens of thousands of cases of Buddhist monks that are here today, gone tomorrow. Sometimes their bodies actually shrivel up as they're in meditation. They're still technically alive. You could still feel a pulse, even though the body may be 18 inches long when he was 6 feet. Incredible. Reality is so much different than what we've been told. We've been given a very, very limited framework of reality and what consciousness even is. And we'll delve into that a lot more in upcoming videos. So interesting. What do you guys think of all this? I want to see your comments, your thoughts on all this, and your experiences too. And I just wanted to share this article too. Loch Ness Monster found. This was from 2018. Shocking pictures of unidentified sea creature surface. You know, it kind of looks like a plesiosaur. Of course, they'll always say, no, it's a giant sturgeon. It's only parts of a whale that's left. The rest is all decomposed. You know, we always get these things. Oh, no, it's a 9-meter basking shark, and as it rots, certain parts didn't rot at the same pace. You know, all these, you know, quote unquote, this is science. Science is, in many cases, absolute BS. It's pulling the wool over people's eyes. Yes, you know, we can learn a ton from true science when there's no agenda. When there's no agenda, and you have people that have no agenda truly trying to discover, you know, the mysteries of the universe. Unfortunately, we can't trust any of the institutions that we have on this planet because they all have agendas. But we want to thank our newest patron.
Yes, thank you so much, Solma. We appreciate your support very, very much.
Yes, we could not do it without you guys. Many of you guys might have noticed that there's not much up on Evolutionary, as it has 2 strikes, and if they find another video, which they found 2 from 3.5 years ago that they found, to them, they say was bullying, or, you know, cyberbullying, what have you, when one of them was a 6-minute video, which, you know, almost 5 minutes of the 6 minutes, I just simply read an article that was in a newspaper anybody could read anywhere. That was it. Of course, it mentioned a certain HRC and a certain foundation, starts with the name of the individual, begins with a C. And, you know, that's part of this whole society that we have. So what we're working to do is take down the videos that are on Evolutionary right now, and you know, keep it so it doesn't get totally removed. Hopefully it's still there. I didn't check yet this morning. And then we will be putting them up in other places where there is still some freedom. Well, freedom still reigns in some areas across this land. Thank you guys also for checking out Medicinal Foods. Use coupon code EEA for an extra 5% off your order, and then as you fill up the cart, you could get up to 25% off and free shipping on great stuff. Good, healthy products. And again, these people know about consciousness. They actually have articles, if you go over to their page, talking about how to decalcify your pineal gland, things like that. Good people, good products. Thank you for your support there as well. There's a link on the top of every video. God bless, guys. Share those thoughts. Namaste.
Namaste.